Welcome back, guys, to the So Much More podcast. I'm Evelyn and my co-hostess,
Rollie Vogues.
And today our special guest is
Desiree
with
Lets Vamonos.
Welcome, Desiree, to the podcast. We're very excited to have you on here. It's been a minute that
we've been talking.
You've been like wanting to come on here, or we've been wanting to have you on. You know.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely reached out to y'all first. I was like, how do I get on this podcast?
Yeah, the thing is though, like we do want to have people that are doing stuff. So it's like we noticed, we saw you and everything doing your lives, and so we're like, no, it'd be cool to have her on, you know?
Too. The name was so easy to remember.
Oh yeah.
Like Let's Vamonos. Yeah. I feel like At first, I didn't know your name was Desiree, so I would be like, "Oh, let's vamonos," right? Yeah. That's how we would talk about, "Oh, let's vamonos," right? But then I, met you, and then you're like, "Oh, it's Desiree." So when you came up to me at Ironworks, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like that because of the podcast, like you get some type of recognition, Yeah. So with that being said, let's talk about you.
Yeah. So I was super excited to be on here. So again, thank y'all so much for inviting me, and I saw y'all's podcast because of Lucia and Jesse. That's how I kind of came around, like learning about what y'all do, and loved the podcast. I was like, I'm obsessed. I'm in love with their episode. And then I was like, okay, let me start listening. And then I started listening to y'all because I think as a Latina, and especially in our community, our voices are not heard enough. And I don't know if you know, but Latino podcasts are like the lowest in like percentages or stats. Mm-hmm. So even though people might think, oh, there's a lot of Latino podcasts out there actually isn't. So when I saw that y'all were doing stuff, I was like, and the way that y'all were doing it, I was like, okay, cool. This is the people I want to support. These are my people to some extent.
Yeah.
So, I am all about supporting the Latino community. I'm all about supporting Houston. And I felt like there's not enough of that around here. Like sometimes people are like, oh, we're all in the same space of some kind. So they think, oh, it's like competition when it's not. Like I feel like I want to bridge those gaps sometimes.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, like you said, that's like perfect because I think the way you're coming about it is just like, it's not competition. Let's support each other because why not? At the end of the day, and we're like that too. We love to support. I mean, one of our co-hosts has his own talk show. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if we were looking at it like, we're not going to support them. Like, we wouldn't even have asked them like, oh, come on, be a part of our, our team, let's grow together, you know, or have other, people that have stuff going on at the end of the day. Right. But it's true. Like, supporting Latinos, supporting small businesses is what we're all about. And with our podcast.
Yeah. And at the same time, there's like people that don't know about everybody else, you know what I mean? Like it does seem like, honestly, like if I know everybody in Houston or people that are doing stuff, but then like, all right, through Jesse and Lucia, like there was you, there's Faith, and now there's like this whole other world of people that I didn't know about before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think Hip Hop Vintage Flea Market was like scratching the surface from that, and now we like Ironworks, like it's like this whole thing, and I didn't know about it
and
before.
And then now it's like Faith and Chris, another whole, scratching the surface over here.
Yeah,
with
like
more.
Yeah, so everybody you meet ends up opening doors to like all these other people that we didn't even know about.
Yeah. Because imagine like that, like for us, your viewers might jump on because they're like, oh wow, like there's another podcast, or vice versa, like
Yeah, and I've definitely, I was like, when I started listening to you, I was like, I'm gonna comment, I'm gonna like, because I know what it means. Like it means a lot. Like people don't get it. Like just commenting and liking or just chiming in or whatever, it really does make a difference. Yeah. And so why should I say here, tell my people comment and like if I'm not even telling other people to comment and like, or doing it myself, right? Yeah. Doing it on other people's platforms. And then when I do that, I mean it too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I want people to feel like, oh man, that's awesome that Desiree of Lets Vamonos chimed in, because I want people to understand that like I am walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like, oh, I only support these people or I only support these people. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, I support people who support me too.
Yeah.
So
because it can get like not that it's tiring, because at the end of the day you're just supporting, right? You support if you like it.
Yeah.
But it could be one of those things where it's like you're there supporting, and then it's just like you never get the thank you for supporting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. but the other thing I've learned is like the expectations, right? Like some of us sometimes will have there's people out there, they'll be like, oh, well, if I do this, I'm gonna get something in return, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not one of those people. Like when I say I like something, I mean I like it, and if I listen to it and support it, I'm gonna share it.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people out there though that will say that they like something because they're expecting something in return, and I've been a part of that in the sense of like I've witnessed people do that to me, or you know I've seen other people do it to other people, you know.
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, like that's also a growth thing, because I started what I'm doing right now 2020, or actually 2019 is when I started. And have y'all ever heard my first episode?
No,
not the first episode.
So one of the cool things about how Let's Vamonos started was it didn't start like I was like, oh, I'm gonna start a podcast, right? Like let me just start a podcast. I actually started a blog.
Oh, okay.
So I was a blogger for literally 6 months. 6 months I was a blogger. And the reason why I was only for 6 months is because I did not like to write. I was not a writer. That's not my strong point. My mom's a writer, and she would actually edit my blogs for me. And it would take like hours, like 2 or 4 hours to like me to write it, she to edit it. And I was just like, this is exhausting. Like,
you weren't enjoying it.
I was not enjoying it.
Yeah.
What I was enjoying, though, was meeting the women that I was supporting in my local Baytown community, because that's where I'm from, Baytown, Baytown, Texas. Or they say the Dirty Bay. And so I was meeting these women, and the conversations that we were having were so much more interesting than the writing that I was doing.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not talented, right?
Well, you were writing not like word for word.
No.
It's just like
an overall.
Yeah, like an overall, kind of like a feature, right? So like this is what they do. This is a little bit about their journey and story, and just kind of highlighting what their businesses were and how we kind of met or whatever. And so I did it for 6 months. And so when I reached out to y'all and y'all were like, hey, what about November? So November is a special month for me. I know this episode probably won't come out in November.
So December.
It won't come out till December. But my birthday's in November. My very first official interview was in November. And I'm really big about like spiritual things, in the sense like things are always connected. And so like November is my month, right? It's my month to grow. It's my month to shine. It's my month to just kind of really hone in on what I'm doing. So, long story short,
her birthday was on Tuesday, right?
No, it was on Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. And so, in the process, I was talking to my husband, because my husband's a big part of my journey. I was telling him, I'm getting really bored. Like, I want to do something different. And I told my mom, I was like, I want to do video. And she was like, video? And when I was a kid, my mom used to be the camcorder mom. She had a camcorder all the time. And so I'd always like act and play and dance and sing.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I have an older brother and an older sister my brother's 10 years older than me, and my sister's 14 and a half. So I grew up like an only child. In the sense, my brother and sister were so far apart.
Yeah.
There was a lot of time where I was by myself.
Yeah.
Even though I had a brother and a sister. Yeah. And so she would always camcorder me or whatever. And I was like, I want to do video. And she was kind of like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know. I just want to do like be on video.
Yeah.
I think I want to record my interviews. And she was like, okay, this is my mom. And so then I was talking to my husband about similar things. And he was like, well, he's big into wrestling. So I don't know if y'all are wrestling fans or not, but he's huge into wrestling. And he was like, there's a wrestling match coming in November. And he's like, you should reach out to this Latina wrestler. And I was like, okay, who is she? And I'm just like, whatever he likes in that sense of wrestling, I'm watching. I know.
Yeah.
I know who The Rock is. I know who John Cena is. Right? I know the big chiefs out there. But I didn't know about this Latina wrestler. And so I was like, what? Like, there's a Latina wrestler? Like, okay, I'm listening. I'm all ears. And her name is Thunder Rosa. That's her wrestling name. And her real name is Melissa Cervantes. And so he was like, why don't you just, like, slide in her DMs and, like, ask her if you can interview her? Now, mind you, at the time, I wasn't even Lets Vamonos.
Yeah.
I wasn't Desiree.
Yeah.
I was Blogger by the Bay. That was what my name was.
So that's what it started.
That's what it started. Okay. Blogger by the Bay, because I was a blogger and I was doing all these things. It was catchy.
Yeah.
So, you know, I didn't have a lot to stand on.
Yeah.
6 months of blogging.
How was your social media? Like,
crickets. It was just like, it was barely going.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, okay, fine. And so I slid into her DMs. I was like, are you serious? And I was like, what do I say? You know, like, and so I just asked her, I said, hey, you know, would you be interested in an interview? I'm a Latina blogger and da-da-da-da. And she was like, yeah, when do you want to do it? I was like, what? I was like, holy crap. She responded to me within, I think less than 48 hours. And I was kind of like, he was like, see, I told you, she's like really engaged with her community. And I was like, okay. So then I got nervous. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing now. Yeah. And at the time I was still writing. Yeah. So I wasn't even videoing or anything. I was like, okay. So we go to the event, which was Ladies Night Out number 8. And
that was the name of the event?
That was the name of the event, Ladies Night Out number 8. And it was, I don't think it was in Conroe. It was somewhere far. I just know it was really far. And so we go out there and I'm like, okay. And I said, I had my questions ready. I was like, okay, well, let me at least prepare. Because I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but I'm a huge like persona, like the persona, right? So I wanted to, interview her and learn about her. And we get there. She's cool. And we're doing like a meet and greet, signing, like all kinds of cool stuff. And my husband goes to get a drink at the bar. He's like, well, while you're doing like the interview or whatever, I'll go get a drink. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And so then she's like, we're chatting. She's like, so where do you want to record this? And I was like, record? What do you mean? Like in my head, I'm like, what? So I text my husband really quick and I'm like, get your ass over here right now because she wants to record this. And I was like, I've never recorded anything in my life.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, all right, do you have a camera? Do you have mics?
Yes.
Or what do
No, I didn't have a mic. All I had was my iPhone 7. I think at the time it was a 7. My iPhone 7 and my husband. And that was it. Yeah. No mics, no nothing.
And no, not even anything to hold the phone, just your husband. He's
just
the
my
holder.
husband. He was the iPhone holder. Mind you.
/ tripod.
Yeah,
mind tripod. You, he never even recorded anything either.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say he didn't record anything.
No, we were like, no, we're going to make sure he recorded. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he's never done.
The experience wasn't there. Like, you guys had never done this. It was just like thrown at you.
Thrown at us. And so luckily they had like a branded backdrop of like the event. So that was our backdrop. So it looked really nice. And I was just told my husband, I was like, just stay right here in the middle. Don't move. Don't veer off. Don't look at us. Don't go like this, just straight, Yeah. And he did a great job. And she gave me 10 minutes. And it was the most profound interview for myself and for her. She cried in the interview. I was like, oh my God, I made Thunder Rosa cry. And she just really let all of her real self come out in that interview. And at the end of the interview, I was just in the middle of the interview, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Literally, like God was telling me, I need to be doing this. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the interview, every show that you ever watch, whether it's late night, whether any show, TV shows or talk shows typically have like a sign off or a sign on or something, right? Like y'all, just like y'all do when y'all come on. So I was like, I need a sign off. In my head, I was like, I need a sign off. And I was like, Lets Vamonos. And that was it. And literally, that is how Lets Vamonos was born.
So how did you even say it or what? Like
no, I just said it. Like I just said.
Okay, so I'm her. How was it like?
Like it was just like, thank you so much for the interview, or I think I even said thank you so much for the love and support. Lets Vamonos.
Oh, okay.
Which is what I say now all the time too. So something to that aspect.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I was so nervous. So when I said "Let's Vamonos," like right after, like I literally like went off the camera, like totally went off the camera. Yeah. And when I was editing the video, I was like, oh man, I look like I don't even want to be there because I was just like, get out of here.
Let's Vamonos.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yes.
Literally, let's vamonos.
Yes. And never edited a video before then. So I had to learn how to edit the video like that. The next 48 hours, I told her, I was like, listen, I'll have it up in like 48 hours. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And also at the time, IG could not let you upload a video longer than 9 minutes.
Oh, damn, really?
Yeah. This is before Reels.
Yeah.
This is we're talking November 2019.
Yeah.
So this was before Reels. And I was like, how am I going to get this 10-minute interview into 9 minutes? I was like, I didn't know I'd never edited before, so I did my best.
So like cutting was like not even like a thought process.
No,
kinda,
like
right?
cutting or like, hey, like let me like cut this or let me just do 2 videos, right? Like there was no such thing as like a reel or like, oh, this is short clips or anything like that. So I was just like, well, how do I do this? So I ended up getting it, I think, under the 9 minutes. And then later on, I ended up cutting it into 2 pieces, like part 1, part 2. Mm-hmm. And then that was it. And I was like, okay. So that was November 2019. Come full circle, I spent all of December and some of January building Let's Vamonos, like the video platform now. It was no longer a blogger by the bay or...
Did you change your @ the handle?
Yes.
Right away?
Actually, I didn't change my @ I started a new account. I started from 0. So actually the account that Blogger by the Bay is right now is actually called Chingona and the Burbs, which that's a whole nother topic. So if you look up Chingona and the Burbs, you can see all my old stuff from Blogger by the Bay. And so I still have the account.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I was going to ask you, did you just keep everything?
Yeah, I still have the account, and I started a Let's Vamonos, and I started from 0. And man, that was hard too, right? Because I could have just changed, right? I just could have just changed Blogger by the Bay to Let's Vamonos, but there was a lot of memories on there that had also from my personal life. So I was just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'll just, I'll just make that my more of a personal fun page and start doing like a business page. And so, so that's how it started. And a lot of people don't know that story. I don't share it a lot, and I'm trying to share it more because it wasn't like one day I woke up and said, I want to do a podcast.
Okay, so... Yeah. I was gonna say, okay, we still have like 2 minutes. Is it 2 or 5?
It's 2. I think it's 2.
Okay.
But yeah, we're good.
I was gonna say, so before we go on a break, let's rewind. You said you were born in Baytown, right?
Well, I'm born in Houston, actually.
In Houston, okay. And you've always lived in Baytown.
I've lived in Baytown most of my life, and then I also went to college in San Antonio.
Oh, you're UTSA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my question is like, this whole time, like you're in like high school, college, like what was your career thought process? Like, are you going to be a creative, or did you think you were going to be a doctor, lawyer?
Yeah, I think when I was like 9, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
I really wanted to be a doctor. But I always was a creative. Loved to sing, loved to entertain.
So you do karaoke?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I loved karaoke. I was in choir at school. I was in choir at church. I've been singing since I was 9. And I'm wearing the sweatshirt, but I wanted to be Selena. Like, I loved Tejano music. I loved singing mariachi music. So I was like really unafraid of the spotlight.
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
I wanted to be, in some of that in some type of way, but I didn't really like pursue it in a way that was like,
it's gonna be my career.
This is gonna be my career. I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed singing and entertaining. Now, as a career though, I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. I did really well in school, so I never hated school. I always enjoyed school, and so my parents had big expectations for me because I was the straight A students. And so, but then when things weren't really going the way that I thought they should go for myself, I was kind of getting frustrated. You know, like, oh, here I'm taking these classes and...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
And then you
Okay.
Yeah.
I was taking these classes and I just wasn't really enjoying myself. I wasn't like, this is not what I want to do. And so I had changed my career a bunch of times. So I went from medical to liberal arts, which was lawyer, to social worker, to all these things that had to do with helping people too, to some extent. But the last one was a social worker. And I ended up doing social work later on in my life, but I was just like not happy at all.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, oh, I could see myself in a courtroom or I could see myself as a doctor. No, I never saw myself like that. I always saw myself to some extent on a stage. I don't know what that stage looks like, you know, but a stage of some kind.
Yeah.
And so, but I've always been like that. So,
So you've always liked the entertainment side of things, like the fun stuff, kind of, right?
Yeah, the fun stuff.
Oh, okay.
I tried out for American Idol.
You did?
Back when they did the first or the second season. I tried out. It was in Austin.
So you can sing.
I can sing, like church sing, you know, like I tell people I'm a singer, but I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm like a Mariah Carey or a Taylor Swift or, you know, like I like to sing.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think I'm horrible either. And so I had the motivation, right?
Yeah. You weren't scared.
No, I wasn't scared.
Okay.
No. And I had been singing since I was 9. So I grew up in the Catholic Church, and another crazy story, I guess. My dad one day, somebody had asked at the church, hey, we need volunteers for choir.
Yeah.
My dad stood up one day. He's like, we can do it. And me and my mom were like, huh? And my dad was like, my daughter can sing. My daughter sings. I was like, well, I do sing. I do like to sing.
That is me.
That is me, yes. And so I was super excited.
I'm the daughter.
Yes, I was super excited. And so we started like an all-girls choir when I was 9.
Oh, okay.
And
he was in the choir too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, at a Catholic church
I can't
too.
sing, no.
You can sing.
I'm just doing like background shit.
No, when we first started dating, you know how you sleep on the phone and
Yes,
I would tell him, sing for me.
I sing her lullabies and shit.
I would be like, man, like if you love me, sing for me. You know, it was the "if you love me" stage of relationship, and I always thought I think you know how to sing.
No, I can sing.
Yeah, he can sing.
I could,
yeah, because I remember we used to go to like church together, and like he would be in the choir, so I would sit with his parents, and I would see him, and I'm like, he knows how to sing. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, I just feel like it's kind of similar, right? Like you didn't care.
It's kind of the same thing. Like I've always wanted to be like on stage or do the
something,
person.
Right?
Yeah.
But with that being said, let's take a quick break, guys, and we'll be back.
Yes, sir.
And we are back. So we were before we went on break, we were talking about the church and how
Long break.
Mom break. That's what you said?
I said long break.
Oh, I thought you said mom break. I was
mom break? No, it was a long break. We were talking off camera for a good minute.
It was a long break. About the church, right? That your dad signed you up, basically.
Yeah, so my dad volunteered me and my mom, too. Now, mind you, my mom cannot sing real well. So she was kind of like, that's kind of like her worst nightmare. But so we started the choir. My mom was the choir director.
Oh, okay.
And so she knew how to read music, my mom. She actually played the clarinet in high school. And so she was like, I can at least direct y'all and, get y'all going. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, cool. So I did that starting at 9. And then that's kind of how my passion for singing grew. And I actually probably love singing church music more now than I did when I was a kid. Because, now I really,
You can get into
I can get into it. And I've had actual spiritual moments singing church music. So like I know how important it is to me, right?
Yeah.
And so over the course of time I would sing at I was asked to sing like at funerals. So that's kind of cool. Like cool in a morbid kind of way, right? Like when you sing on my deathbed. I've sung on people's deathbeds before. So like I've sung like the Ave Maria.
And they pay you or
No, I just go. I've never been paid to sing. And I've had people like, hey, when I die, can you sing at my funeral kind of thing? I haven't sang the Ave Maria in ages now. So I don't even know if I could sing it. It might not be as good as back then.
I like this one.
Yeah. And so, so that's how I kind of got introduced to more of like a stage, right? Being at church, singing at church, and singing also like on the altar. So like when there was like solos or times where we had to sing up in front, I would sing in the front. And there was not really a time where I was like super nervous. Or like, oh my God. And
what about you said American Idol?
Yeah.
How was that? Like, how was that treatment?
That was nervous. That was very nervous because you're around like thousands of people. And then these people are judging you, right? They're like judging you, like everything. They're not just judging how you sound. They're judging how you look. They're judging like what you're wearing. I was 21 when I tried out.
So, you weren't married?
I wasn't married. I had my boyfriend, which is my husband now, and my mom drove me to Austin, and we went to the hotel and we waited in line, and we literally slept outside for like a whole day till the audition. And there was like,
why is it because you have to get in line, and as you get in line is how they take you? Or what?
Yeah, that's how they would like. It was a first come first serve. So like you had to get in line, and then they would give you like a band with a number on it. And I did have I had a scrapbook of all my stuff, like the band and the pictures and stuff. But it got ruined from Harvey.
Oh,
damn, that sucks.
Yeah. And so I was like number 1,000 and something in line or something like that, and I remember it was a big number. And, excuse me. And it was just kind of crazy to be there. So I only got through the first round. Like, it was just kind of like you sing with like a group of 5 and you hear everybody sing. So that's also intimidating as well, right? Because now you know what you're competing against.
Yeah.
You're like, oh. And I sang, because I'm really big into oldies. So I sang a... what is it? The guy. The song is "Too Good to Be True." What is it? How's it go? You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you.
Oh, okay.
You feel like heaven to touch.
Yeah.
I wanna hold you so much. That song.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
But actually, the Fugees covered it too.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who the Fugees are?
Yeah.
So Lauryn Hill, she covered that song. So that's why it was popular for me. So, but it's actually an oldie song. But I knew both versions. So I sang that song, and it was, it was okay. Like, I was like, okay. And I didn't, like, move forward or anything like that. But I was like, for me, I'm the type of person, and I hope to put this on, inspire other people. Like, just do it. Just try it. Like, put yourself out there, because if you don't, you'll never know. And I can say, like, I'm 41 now, and I can say I tried out for American Idol. I tried out for The Voice. I tried out for Real World. Did I make it? No. But am I okay? Yeah. Am I doing other things that are cool? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because something
and you tried it.
Yeah, and I tried it.
I did a pageant.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, when she was younger.
Yeah, we were already together, and I remember that I was able to go to round 2, and then I didn't make it to round 3, and I started crying.
Aw, well,
Yeah, it was so funny.
But you're okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
I tried it though. It was like for Texas or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was like a bunch of girls, right? And then I had like my little business outfit, and then like the form, like it was a formal. I had like a gown and everything, and it was cool though. Like I can say I experienced that, you know, like I experienced that, like doing a whole pageant, like walking and having to talk about yourself, you know, going to all these interviews. Shout out to my cousin because she really like
that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Those pageant girls, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. And then, you know, I never had like energy drinks. Mm-hmm. And me and my cousin were both so tired. Because of everything that we had been doing, you know. That the day of the pageant, I remember we stopped at a gas station and she bought like a 5-hour energy thing.
Oh no.
And we split it in half because we were just so tired. But we didn't know about energy drinks. So we were like, okay, she's like, just drink half and I'm going to drink half just so we can be okay for today, you know. And I'm like, okay. You know?
Yeah. But no, and I was going to say, but like, it's good that people try out for these things because it builds character. It builds like you get rid of that fear a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to, like the whole time I'm like, damn, what did I do? Like, you know.
Well, you've done the choir.
No, but I did like.
Oh, you did that battle.
I did like I did a Jack Daniels like rap thing or whatever, and it was like with DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club. Yeah. He was there and a few other people from Houston. It was at SF2. That's where they held it at. Yeah. Okay. And I remember I was there and it was like a bunch of like rapper grown men type shit, you know, and I was just like, damn, like I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna do. But
you've been on stage a lot too,
yeah, I've been on stage but I was like, fuck, like this is like no mic, I mean, there was music, but it's like not my music.
Right.
And I had something like, I'm just gonna say something I already have written, right? Yeah. But it was kind of fast. Mm-hmm. And so when they play the music, it's like slow. So I had to like rap it slow. And then like it just messed me up and it didn't sound good. And they were like, all right, appreciate it, you know, next, whatever. And I'm like, fuck. And then I just left. I didn't even stay after that, but like. Yeah,
but I've also like because you also did another one. Remember where we went to like this one place with Luis Piñeiro?
Yeah, no, but that was like more of just like a show.
Yeah, he's done.
But I've done shows before, and then but that was regular.
Yeah.
Like,
so I've never sung with a live band. That's kind of like maybe, you know, one of my like bucket list things to sing with a live band.
Como con banda or como?
Like either Tejano or something something like that.
Yeah.
And so I've never done that, but I've always sung a cappella. So usually when people ask me to sing, like I don't mind singing without music. That's what I used to sing also at church, was a cappella. And that's actually when you go to like those tryouts, they just ask you to sing. They don't, no music, no nothing. They just want to hear your voice. And so when I went to The Voice to try out, that was at the Reliance Center. Me and my friend went together. We're like, we're going to go. We're like, okay, good luck. And so we went together and that was pretty cool. And I was pretty nervous. I can't remember what song I sang. Oh yeah, I do. I sang a folk song, which is, I guess it's a folk song. It's a Jewel song. You Were Meant for Me. You know that song?
I don't know.
No, you know that song?
Honestly, I'm like not good with names. So I feel like I listen to a lot of oldies myself. Yeah. And I don't even know, like, I just like.
Well, Jewel's like folk indie. So like not a lot, like it's kind of like a popish. So not a lot of people know. I grew up in the 90s. So like she was like the jam then, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I got real nervous that time, like any other time. But that time I got nervous because the lady, she comes up, she goes, "Oh, you're so pretty." And I was like, like
that made you
in my head, I was like, that made me more nervous. I was like, thank you.
She told me I was ugly.
Yeah, like I was just like, she's like, and I was just like, crap, man. And
it kind of caught you off guard, or
yeah. And let's see, how old was I? I was older then. I was, I think, in my 30s at that time. Oh my God,
props to you, because right now I'm 28, and I feel like I'm in my era where I'm like more shy than ever right now. Like I don't think I'm like out there the way, because Roland's like out there, you know, and I'm not. Like I feel like I'm just more. I used to be more out and about, and I'm more like.
It's because you're a mom.
To myself, I'm just like, I'm shy. Right now, it's weird. Like it's so weird. Like I hate it. Like not that I hate it, right? But I wish I could be more like.
No, I think you're doing better. I think you're.
How I used to be. Like I used to I don't know, just.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah, like I would do karaoke with his dad. I mean, his dad can get me. Yeah, his dad can get me to do karaoke in Spanish though. Like, but he has to get me kind of drunk, right? Like we gotta be drinking, and if not, I can't do sober. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like right now I wouldn't be able to do another pageant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. Like I think,
well, I think as we get older too, sometimes we're more aware, right? We're more self-aware of like, hey, you know what you're. Oh, what my earring keeps falling off. Oh, it's under there.
But no, yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, just more self-aware, and then kind of like we also have these like we now know like people are watching, right? Before, like when you're younger, like when I was a kid, when I was 8 and 9 years old singing at church, I didn't really care.
Yeah, because when I was younger, I used to do shows for my family.
Yeah.
Like we used to do the Evie Queen and like a merengue or bachata or something. Me and my cousins used to get together and we used to dance like in front of my grandparents, you know. I used to come up with like this whole dance for that one song. We used to practice for like the 2 hours before we were going to perform it. No shy. Like I was not shy at all.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to dance, you know. Or even with Debs, you know, like, she'll be like, do something. And I'm like, no, don't record me. Like, if you're going to record me, don't tell me, just do it. Like, and don't even show me. Like, I don't even want to see it, you know, because it's just, I'm just like, oh, why do I look like that?
But it just comes in waves, too. Because, like, I think I was like that right after I had my first child, too.
Oh, okay.
So I think it has to do with motherhood. And I think all mothers go through that in some way because, like, when, if you saw a picture of me after I had my first child, I probably look like a 45-year-old woman who when I wasn't even 45, I was like 27, 28. My hair was short, like mom cut short, but not cute mom hair cut short, like frumpy mom cut short. I got a bad haircut. And it was like traumatic, and I actually looked how I felt, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
And I was just kind of like, man, and it took me a long time. It took me almost 10 years.
Do you feel like you dealt with like the postpartum depression?
I never was diagnosed, but
you felt that?
I never felt like I was depressed, but I was going through things.
Yeah.
Because my life had changed.
Yeah.
My life had changed. I had my son, and then 2 years later I had my second son. And so now I got like a 2-year-old and a newborn. And I have my husband, but like he's still learning too. He don't know, he's never had a kid before either.
And
so
it doesn't really hit the guys as much as it hits the girls.
Yeah. And so it took me a really long time to just get comfortable in my skin again. It probably wasn't until my 30s that I really started getting more comfortable in my skin. And I'm all about challenging myself. Every decade that I've lived, thank you, Lord, because I've challenged myself those years. So like in my 30s, I actually lost a lot of weight. I lost about 45 pounds. And I did training. I had a trainer. And then after I lost weight, I told him I wanted to do powerlifting. So I actually started doing powerlifting back in 2019.
You did tell me. You did tell me. Yeah.
And I did it. I wanted to do it for kind of memory of my dad. So my dad passed away in 2017, and he was really big into fitness and his health. And so I actually have pictures of me when I was a baby with him in the gym, like, working out, the garage gym, right? And so I was like, I wanted to do something that was physically challenging and also mentally challenging. And I was like, I want to do powerlifting. I told my coach, I was like, I want to try it. And he's like, okay. And I said, I'm not doing it for like the numbers or how much weight I can lift. I just want to do it and see what it feels like and see if that's the experience. Yeah. And so I did it. I trained. I did my first meet in, what was it called? I think it was in the summer. I think it was in like August, July or August. And it was in 2019. It was before COVID. So yeah, I think it was like 2019 or maybe 2018. And I did it and I trained for it, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't really think this is for me. Like, I felt like at the end of the day, I enjoyed it, but what I did learn about myself though was that even though I was training physically for something, my mental capacity was still not there. Like my mental strength was still like this like barrier of like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You're not able to do this. This isn't, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You know, like, just kind of like that. And maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome and a little bit of like, why are you doing this, Desiree?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Like, I didn't know that was a thing until I went to the...
I get that a lot.
The imposter syndrome. Like, I didn't know it was a thing until I went to the Latina Collaborative event that they had.
The recent podcast?
The recent one.
The conference?
Like on Friday, the conference.
Yeah.
It was like on a Friday. And I went and some girl said, oh yeah, like, how do you deal with like imposter syndrome? And I'm like, what? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And now when she said that, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, am I dealing with that? Like, is that the reason why I feel like I can't step out of my comfort zone and like go do something because I'm telling myself I'm shy, but am I really shy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just caught me off guard that she said that because I was just like, oh, I didn't even know it was like a thing. But I think you probably told me about that before, right?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I feel it a lot whenever like with the podcast, with everything that I do type shit. Like there's times when I'm like, all right, like I know what I've built, I know who I am, I know like the skills I bring and all that shit, you know, but
You're the engine.
I'm the engine, you know, but I do like I humble myself all the time. Like I'm never, like, just last time the last posted podcast that we had at the end, Rob is like, hey bro, tell us who have you done work for? And I'm like, man, like I don't want to talk about that. And he's like, come on, you gotta let them know. Like, so I just like gave out a few names, but then after that I just stopped, you know. But it's like one of those things. It's like, I'm like, do I really like deserve like praise and shit like that, you know? It's like that.
Yeah.
So,
No,
like,
I understand.
yeah.
It's kind of like the reason why I really didn't share a lot of that first interview, because like, even though at the time she's celebrity, and she is a celebrity now, she actually won she was one of the first Latinas to win a national championship in the AEW ring.
Oh, okay.
She came out, and she's also one of the first that is a Mexican immigrant as well. So that's another big deal. And
but I think that story is really good. Like, I think I just think it's like your name came about that. It was one of those, it got thrown at you and you just figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, and you just made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
you know,
that.
like I was just seeing, so I watched this other podcast called La Platica.
Okay.
But they're
You
in
should
LA.
watch
Yeah,
it.
man,
You'd probably like it.
They're an LA based podcast. It's two guys, Josh and Sebas. But so my brother, like, he's very like, I don't think he wants to do it anymore, but he wanted to open a gym.
Okay.
But he was like, I want state of the art, like, warehouse. I want like a big gym. And I'm like, bro, like, just start small and then build from there, and people will see they'll appreciate the growth and the progress, right?
Yeah.
And there's like, even now, like, there's certain studios that open up and it's like, hey, we're open for podcasts, you know, like if you want to rent out the studio. And I think about it, I'm like, I wouldn't go and like rent out a studio if it's not my, like, this is just me though. People do it. But because I would want people to go back to the first episode and be like, oh shit, like us, like, we're in our house, we're in a room.
So feel special because
Right?
don't invite everybody.
Because eventually we'll have a studio.
Yeah.
And people will be like, damn, they did their first 100 episodes at their house, you know. And now they have a studio. Now, like, we've seen the growth type shit. You know, we've had couches, we've changed things up before. And so La Platica, they just left their studio, and then they were renting out a space, and now they have like their own big like headquarters.
Oh, that's
and it's
awesome.
like, it's one of those things where I'm like, man, this is what I'm talking about, like the progress. Like, people love to see that. So it's like, you doing the first interview, not in a studio, you know, just at an event, no mics, just camera phone or whatever. It's like humble beginnings. It's like people see where you're at now from where you started.
Yeah, and now you have what, the pink couch?
Yeah, now I have the pink couch, and
famous pink couch.
And also the location is sponsored.
Yeah.
So it's sponsored by Cargo Vintage Ladies, which is Faith, and Chris, which is also Shop Local Market, and that's also a story in itself, because people always ask me, how did you meet Faith, or how did you come about this? And I'm like, I just asked. Like, literally, that's all it took was me, like...
Wait, before we get into that story, let's take a break, because I want to know, like, how that even happened. Like, but the fact that you're saying you just asked is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to be back, guys.
Okay.
Sir.
we are back. So we're talking about your pink couch.
Yes.
So how did that come about?
The infamous pink couch. So yeah, that came about crazy. I don't know how if you're like big into spiritual or just alignment or anything like that, but I always feel like God is guiding me on this journey where I'm going.
I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so as I've gotten older, I've gotten more in tune with that spiritual side of myself and really like started to listen and be like, okay, just like, so if I'm feeling a little like pushback or something, or like it's not working, I'm like, okay, let's just go this way, because obviously that's not where I need to be.
Yeah.
And so let's see, November 20, was it 2019 or 2020?
Well, 2019 is the year you started.
2019 was the year I started. So no, it was 2020, November 2020, I believe. Because COVID happened, right? So kind of backtrack. So January 2020 happened. I actually got a studio, rented out a studio to do my first episode.
And what is your husband telling you with all of this? Like,
he's like, what are you doing?
Because I'm thinking like, okay, is it bringing income in for you to rent a studio, or are you just paying out of pocket?
At the time, I was like working, so I was working. I was working a 9 to 5.
Okay.
In the insurance business, so I was making good money.
You were selling insurance?
I was selling insurance. Yeah,
I've done that too.
Yeah, it sucks. Sorry, guys. not to shame anybody's career or anything, but for me, I was like, I'm bored out of my mind, people. Like, give me something to do. So I was working.
And that's how you paid off.
That's how I paid the studio. And I also got a videographer. So I hired a guy his name is Jose Pena. Shout out to him, because he's also the person that mentored me to edit my videos. So like he mentored me, and then he started recording my stuff for me. But I was actually editing all my stuff. So he was like, let me show you how to edit, like just basic editing, nothing major, right? And then started going into that. Did that for 2 months because COVID, right? And then I was like, oh man, like I had, these 2 guests. One was a family member. The first guest was like a family friend. And then the second one was a lecturer. I don't know if y'all know or familiar with her. She owns the Glamour House Studios. And she's been a great supporter of Lets Vamonos. And
these are like official, like first guests. Like, for Lets
2020.
Vamonos, right?
Yeah, in 2020.
Okay.
And then COVID happened, and I was like, okay. So I went virtual. So then I did IG lives. Yeah. So I went from this kind of studio setup, kind of like a mock-up chairs, right? Like trying to do like a show, to like virtual lives, which is like me and the guests.
Did you consider it like a talk show at the beginning, kind of? Or was
not
it
really.
Like a podcast?
It was more like a podcast, more of a podcast setting.
Okay.
But I had started out with the edited videos. Like I wanted it edited. I wanted it curated. I was like, I wanted to have a certain kind of vibe. So I did IG lives for the whole year of 2020. And then November 2020, I found Segundo Coffee Lab. Y'all familiar with that?
Is that the one in Ironworks?
That's the one in Ironworks, yeah. And right away when I heard Segundo Coffee Lab,
it's the who they are, right? It's how Jesse and Lucia are right here, but you never.
Right behind.
He's not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
They're right behind them.
They're right behind them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I found they showed up on my IG feed or whatever, and I was like, Segundo Coffee Lab. And in my head, I was like, first of all, I had never heard of Latinos owning a coffee shop. I know there's been others before them, right?
Yeah.
But I had never seen anything or heard the fact of the word segundo used in like a name, a branding. It caught me really quickly. I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. So I just went to go like look for the coffee shop. And I went by myself, went to go check it out. When I realized it was that building, Ironworks building, I was like, oh, cool. And there was like nothing in there at the time. It was very sparse compared to what it is now. And I went up there. Cargo was there. Shop Local Market Space was there. And Cargo Vintage Ladies was up there. But it looked way different. Like still humble beginnings. Like they're still trying to like get everything together. And I was just like, okay, cool. And I think Faith was there the day that I went to go to the coffee shop. And I I'm a chatty person, and I'm also like, you know, 100 million questions, right? Like, who's the owner? Blah blah blah. Like, what's going on?
This probably like, why are you asking?
Who's this lady? Yeah. So I kind of chatted with her for a little bit, and she was like, "Yeah, I own this space, and you know, these are my businesses." I'm like, okay, cool. And in my head, I'm like, interesting. Like, just okay. Why am I here? Right? There's a reason why I'm here. I don't know why, but I'm here. So I was thinking about it, and at the time, I didn't have a studio. I didn't know what my next step was.
When did you let go of the studio?
Well, it only had it for those two.
It was a monthly thing?
It was it was like a rent by date type thing.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. And so I, at the time I didn't have a studio. I was done with IG lives. I was like, I ain't doing another IG live. It was like, I hated it because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do in-person interviews. That's what I love about y'all's podcast as well, is because it's in person, right? And so I left that day. I had even met, I think, Martha and Manuel, the owners of Segundo Coffee Lab. Okay. Kind of like, you know, people didn't know who I was or knew anything really about me, even though Lets Vamonos was already started. Yeah. So here I'm asking all these questions. They're probably like, oh, whatever. And then I messaged Faith, I think 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe like 2 weeks later. And she gave me her phone number. She was like, hey, if you ever need anything, just like, here's my phone number or whatever. I was like, okay, cool. And I told her, I said, hey, like, would you ever be interested in like sponsoring like a podcast? And she was like, sure. She's like, well, what do you have in mind? And I told her, I said, well, I support small businesses. I've been doing this for a year now on IG Lives, and I'm trying to do in person. And, you know, I told her, I was like, I could interview you, which, you know, that was a big mistake because she was like, that's the last thing she wanted, right? I could interview you. I could interview your businesses or whatever. And she's like, okay. And she was like, sure, why not? Let's do it. And I was like, is that easy? No way. Like, really? Mm-hmm. Like, it's that easy.
Yeah, just you gotta ask.
Yeah. And there was no pink couch at the time.
Oh, okay.
So there was 4 chairs, 4 green velour chairs that they have up there that are still up there. No couch, no table. It was way different. Mm-hmm. So if you go look at my Let's Vamonos episode, it's in March. It's my International Women's Day episode, I believe. It's us 3 ladies, and you'll see like the setup. It's like what it started out. Yeah. Because the first episode of 2021 is actually me and Martha and Manuel from Segundo Coffee Lab in front of their like Segundo Coffee Lab area, like right in the coffee shop. Yeah. And so
oh wait, I saw that. I think I saw a little bit of that one.
Yeah. Till this day, it's still my most viewed interview because it was like my first, I guess, and it is my proudest work. It was a great interview, and also I edited it myself, and it's got like my vibe, right? So a little bit of my vibe. And so later on, as we were kind of growing, at the time, I was only doing 1 episode a month, mind you, because I'm working. I'm working, I'm being a mom, I'm being a wife. I didn't have time to do more than 1 episode a month. And I was like, I knew it wasn't going to get me anywhere, right? Yeah. Like 1 episode a month ain't going to get you nowhere.
But it's good to build consistency, though.
Yeah, so tell them how hard it is to just...
Oh, it's extremely hard. It's like, I mean, like the scheduling. I'm the scheduler, right? Y'all know.
You're the engine.
I'm the engine, yeah. And, you know, y'all have each other, but I have nobody. Like my mom... Like I have my mom, like she's definitely she's a supporter.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, like, okay, so while you're doing this, like your husband's supporting you 100%, or is he giving you that?
So at the time he's like, I'm still working. So he's like, okay, cool, like you're doing this, you're still working. And then when I decided to go full force was in April of 2021. My original, like, I want to quit date was, like, June. It was, like, the summer. Summer of 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was summer of 2021 was my original quit date because, like, my kids were going to go in go into the summer. I was like, okay, I can quit. Like, they'll be home.
And I'll be with them.
And I'll be with them. but I didn't make it. And I quit in April.
And your husband was okay with that?
Yeah, he had to be okay with it because I was about to lose my mind. I was at the point where if I didn't quit, I was going to get fired, and then I was going to get fired on bad terms. Like, and I've never been fired, like, for being subordinate.
It just wasn't the job.
It's like being subordinate or something like that. Like, I was just kind of like,
you're like, I'm out, let's vamonos.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I was ready. I was so ready.
Man, your name is so good for so many like that.
Little situation.
Like puns.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just told him, I said, listen, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with my job. I'm not happy with like what's going on. And I just need to try this out.
And what did he say?
He's like, how you gonna make money? Because I was always a working mom. Always had my own money.
So somehow that income was coming.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes. And so I just told him, I was like, I'm going to figure it out. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I don't know.
You said that.
Yeah.
He throws that at me sometimes. And I'm just like, you're stressing me out.
It's
Tell
true.
tell me how. Like,
so you can relate to me.
Yeah. Like I was gonna add on that, add to that there's jobs that you have that you just can't handle no more. Like, you're just like, I need to get the hell out of here, you know. And I went through it, and then
I'm the husband. You see? But to me, it was like, I saw it. I saw that he wasn't happy, and I'm just like, okay, we'll figure it out. But how are you gonna figure it out? I'm supporting you.
Right, I'll figure it out. Like,
so the other part of that was, I told my husband, you've worked 13 years at his job, and he's earned over $100,000. It took him 13 years to make $100,000 in his career. It's taken me 13 years to make $30,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I said, no. I said, if I continue to try to be a part of this society of whatever, to work the 9 to 5 or whatever, I am never going to get to where I want to be. Whether that's financially or, career-wise, any of that. I was never going to be able to meet those expectations of whatever those career choices were going to be.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, like, you're just going to have to trust me. And I had been preparing myself to quit beforehand. So, like, I got my LLC for my business. I paid that off because I knew that was going to cost a lot of money. And once you quit your job, there ain't no more money coming in, right? Like, you don't know what's
you got to figure it out.
Yeah. So I prepared myself. I actually bought a bunch of really nice clothes before I quit because I knew, I was like, dude, I'm going to do interviews, or I'm going to go to events, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. So, like, I'm not going to be able to afford those things.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then that was so April 2021 when I quit, and then started working on Let's Vamonos full time in 2022. Mm-hmm. So 2022, I really like.
Wait, so you quit in April 2021, mm-hmm. and then you just started doing what, like Let's Vamonos? Like
just Let's Vamonos consistently. Okay. Yeah, I was still doing. I think I was doing more than once a month. I think I moved.
Were you working another job?
No, wasn't working anything else. Wasn't doing anything else.
So how are you bringing the money in?
At the time, I wasn't bringing no money in. I'm gonna be real honest. Like, I was bringing nothing in. Like, zero.
Because obviously, guys, like when you have like a podcast, it's a lot that you need to do to even get money.
Yes.
You know, so.
And so I just kept going. I was like, I need to like figure out like a plan. So I was like, okay, let me work on my website, which at the time I had. I don't have right now, but I'm working on it.
You did tell me that.
So I was working on my website. I was working on my social media. And then I really actually started working on the format of my show. And that's really when I said, okay, Desiree, what are you going to do to kind of stand out from everybody else? Yeah,
that's what I want to know. Like how, the I think the first one that I watched like entirely was where you shouted us out. Uh-huh. But I don't know if it's because, I think it's because you tagged us in the, in the cap, and then that's how I was able to see it.
Yeah.
And then that's when I showed you.
Yeah, you're like, she mentioned us. And I'm like, she did?
So I watched but I watched it like, so it has like its little segments as it goes, right? Mm-hmm. So talk about that. Like, I want to know how that.
So, for a while, we got the pink couch. Faith was like, "You're gonna love the new setup," and I'm like, "Okay, great. I don't know what that is." Like, I come in one day and it's like the whole place had been redone, refurbished. Everything was like brand spanking new, and I was like, "Man, this is like an upgrade." So I was like, "Cool, okay." So I started doing interviews, start doing edited interviews, curating it, editing myself. A lot of work, y'all. A lot of work. A lot of sleepless nights. A lot of long weekends. A lot of stress.
Yeah. And by sponsorship, like for like the people that are watching, like she's not paying you. She's letting you do it there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a collaboration sponsorship. So
and that's a thing, guys.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like literally, you never know who.
Yeah. Sponsorships does not mean like money. It's just like there's something.
There's always like it's a space, like it's an opportunity. Like either you can do it there, like in your case, she's sponsoring the space for you to create
create whatever I need.
Yeah, in that area. Like but you never know if you get a sponsorship where you're actually getting paid or you're getting the free stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just putting it out there.
Yeah. And so and when I was doing the edited stuff, I was like, it was cool. And then something just clicked in me. And I was listening to people, and people were saying, "Man, you're so good. You like never mess up. You never make a mistake." And I was like, "Oh, no. I was like, it's edited. Like, you didn't see me mess up because I edited it, because that's what it is, right?" Yeah. And I was like, so I messed up a lot. There was a lot of times I messed up. And so I kind of took that, and I was like, and it actually kind of also has a little bit to do with my youth as well. I would have guys, before I met my husband, I'd have guys tell me, "Oh, you're like perfect," but in not the way not like, "Oh, you're the perfect person," like you don't make any mistakes person. Mm-hmm. Perfect in that way.
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
you're a perfectionist?
Yeah, but because I was a church girl, so like I didn't go to parties.
Yeah. You were a good girl.
I was a good girl.
Yeah.
But they were like, "You don't do bad things."
Yeah,
I was like, I was a kid. I still did bad stuff. You just didn't know about it. Yeah. I
edited it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of connected me. I was like, people have this persona or this perception of me that think, "Oh, I don't make any mistakes. I don't do no wrong." I'm like, y'all crazy, because I'm a human being. Yeah. I'm just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And so I took that and said, okay, one, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm editing every night, every weekend. I'm not enjoying it as much as I used to. I said, I need to do something. I'm not bringing in any money now. Now I'm like, my money's running low. Poor Jose. I had to let him go. Sorry, Jose. He knows. We're cool. But like I had to no longer do the videographer. I had him for like almost a year. And
that is crazy. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I had to let him go. And I said, I'm going to have to restructure my business plan. I'm going to have to pivot, because now it's crunch time. Like, my husband's like,
I was going to do the
pivot.
Because you were going to understand.
Yes.
Pivot.
Oh, good. Rest in peace, Chandler Bing. I knew I was going to have to pivot to be able to continue to move forward. Cost efficiency.
Yeah. And sometimes you just got to do that. Like,
yes. And so that's when I went to live streaming. And I was like, I tell people this, not to like be whatever, but I literally was so passionate about live streaming. I learned how to do it in 24 hours, because literally like it was like a Tuesday night, and then Thursday was my interview, and I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out like now, because
you're like, I'm done editing. I'm done doing this. I'm going to go for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I literally figured it out within 24 hours, like the platform, what to pick, like what I needed to do, how to get all the channels to stream at the same time. Like, I was like, mind you, y'all, I didn't go to school for this. Nobody taught me this. Nobody showed me YouTube. What do they say? YouTube University.
Yeah. University.
I just figured it out. Like, when you're determined and passionate about what your business is, you are going to figure it out no matter what.
No, that's true. Because I remember when I got my machine, the little Cricut or whatever.
Yeah.
I stayed up till like 3-4 in the morning.
Yeah.
One night. I saw a video and I'm just like, oh shit, this looks cool. I want to do shirts. I want to do cups. I want to do all of this, you know? Yeah. And this was before everybody started getting their machines, right? And then I remember I stayed up. Like, he's caught me before, like, when I'm, like, up late. Because sometimes I had trouble sleeping. And he'll be like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, nothing. And that one day, he was, like, knocked out. And I was just, like, on the phone, like, looking at videos. Yeah. And, like, it was just so exciting for me at the time, you know? Because it was late and I was by myself, you know? And then the next day, I'm like, babe, I want to get this machine. Like, I can make so much money, like, with this machine. And then... But those hours of just doing the research, getting the knowledge, you know, it was just, it's important, you know. So I'm sure, I know the excitement of like, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it. Like how that feels.
My first live stream was September 2022. September 2022. So I've actually been
Not November, no.
I know, right? You would think, right?
Yeah.
But it was September. And so I ended up, whatchamacallit, moving forward that way. And I was like, I really like this because it was cost efficient. It was also, I was able to engage with the audience. So those who don't know, if you go watch Let's Vamonos live, which I typically go live Thursdays, you can join the conversation, right? I'm going to shout you out. I'm going to say, I see you. And that's something that I realized like people just love. Like, literally, people would tell me, like, behind the scenes, they would be like, oh, man, every time you shout out my IG name, like, it just makes me feel so special.
And it does.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that until somebody told me. And I was like, oh, really? They're like, yeah, I love it, man. It makes me feel like, you know, I'm a part of the show.
Yeah.
And so, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I continue to do it, because... has it been hard? Yes. It's still just as hard as a podcast. It's still just as hard as editing. It's just a different kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
And I've had to kind of learn through the struggles of like, you know, what's more valuable, like the content or the things that are involved to make a live stream work appropriately.
Yeah.
And I did get a new computer, guys. So y'all, if y'all see better quality,
shout out to your mom.
It's my mom is my. What did I tell her? She's my investor.
She's an angel investor.
She's an angel investor, and she got me a new computer. And so through that, I've developed this platform and developed the format. The format's actually also changed. So before it was just interviews. Before it was just people coming, sitting on the pink couch. Let's talk about whatever you do. Now it's more like, hey, let's talk about the trending chisme, or let's talk about the community events that are going on with the shop local markets or any events.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, which is a lot, right? Or let's talk about, you know, anything that's going on that has to do with Houston. And then also bringing that part of the entertainment side of the guests, right? Which is fun. I've had a lot of fun guests recently. I've had Gonzo247, who is a muralist in the Houston community, who's like well known, who's been doing murals all over Houston for a long time. That was so cool. And I didn't really search out for guests like that in the beginning. I really was like, whoever wants to come on can come on, but I got to have a purpose.
Yeah.
So like each month there's a reason why these guests are on. And I really try to align as well. And I typically have met them before.
Yeah.
I typically try to meet the guests.
Yeah, or there's like some sort of
the connection. Yeah. So for us, it's kind of the same. I feel like, you know, obviously we do it at our house.
Right,
you know, give our address. That's why the whole let me text you with the info, because it's just once we know you're serious, like, all right, because Instagram and conversation on Instagram is very different from text messages, you know, so it becomes more personal. So then I mean, it just like, you know, you can get the vibe, right? Like, but with that being said, guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, we're back
from a long break again.
But yeah, no, like, so I guess I wanted to know, like, what's the overall format of the show? So it's like, where do you start with, and then when does the guest come in? And how does it end?
Or how do you wrap it up?
So the live stream always starts with the
I had one more question. Sorry about that. Because it's not only on Instagram.
No, it's not.
So it's because you keep saying live stream. So I'm like, oh damn, like is she doing Instagram plus?
So that's a good question because people sometimes don't understand what live stream is. So live streams through YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And the way that I do it though is like I don't use the IG lives for the live stream. I actually use a platform. I don't know if I want to say it because they don't pay me yet. But I use
say it. They'll pay you eventually.
StreamYard. I use StreamYard. So StreamYard is the platform that I live stream out of, and then they push it to the social media platforms.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so and that's a whole like I know stuff that people like professionals have said. How do you do that? Like ask me how do you stream to Instagram? I'm like, I don't know. I just do this. Like, you know, like I'll show you, but there's no like special trick or anything that I'm doing.
I just did my research.
Yeah, I just did my research. Yeah. And so, but the format is, I've always inspired this show, Let's Vamonos, to be something similar to like a late night talk show.
Okay.
But not late night. Not at late night, right? I'm very PG. I'm very PG-13, maybe 13.
Yeah, like Robbie Robs is a late night talk show.
Yeah. So, like, I want that vibe, but at the same time, like, I want, you know, maybe a 15-year-old to watch it or a 17-year-old to watch it. And the reason why I say that is because I want to inspire the next generation. I want to be able to see younger people to see me be like, oh, that's cool that she's doing that. Like, how do I do that? Or how can I do that? Right? Just like y'all with the podcast. I want people to be inspired by what I'm doing and to either do their own thing or be like, how do I learn how to do that? And live streaming is also really popular in the gaming world. It's not popular in the way I'm using it. So a lot of people live stream them playing games, live stream them doing crazy stuff.
And they make big money.
Yeah. They're not doing it the way that I'm doing it. Like with the... Because even like the big podcasts out there, right? Like Joe Rogan, right? None of his stuff's live. It's a podcast, right?
Yeah.
So the format is late night talk show vibes, but during the day, or it's at night, but it's not late night. And then it's the trending chisme, which is the trending topics that are going on in the world. But we try to keep it fun and light and something just to kind of like an icebreaker. And then I really like to share about the guests, who they are, what they're about. So, you know, share a fun fact. I feel like that's very like basic though too. Like people just want to know like fun facts. Like we had a meeting a while back. We were like, oh, share a fun fact about yourself. So it's just kind of one of those things like, but one of the things I love about when people come to the pink couch, probably like here too, right? Is they're like, oh man, I feel really comfortable here, right? Like I can feel like I just can talk about anything. And I don't ask them like, okay, tell me when it first started or da da da. You know, I just really go, we start kind of talking with that trending chisme, and that really actually drives the conversation. Because then you get to learn their personality. Like if they don't like something or they do like something and it's kind of like a little risque or something. So do you want me to ask the question?
What was the question?
Yeah. So one of the questions I asked one of my guests was, what if you had a celebrity save you, who would you want it to be?
Save me from death?
Like save you from...
so extreme.
I know, right? Like save you like in a...
From an accident or something.
For the reference is Brooke Shields had a seizure. Bradley Cooper just happened to be there, and he helped her go to the hospital in the ambulance. So I asked the question, hey, like, if you had a celebrity, who would you want to help you? Like, if you had to go to the hospital or ambulance? Like,
all right, I'm thinking like accident, like it had to be somebody strong, like The Rock or something.
I said that.
That's so funny.
I said The Rock,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I was like,
it'd be anybody from the Expendables.
Yeah.
Jason Statham or something.
Right.
Like,
That's interesting.
Jason Statham would have been a good one.
So that's interesting because Brooke Shields' reaction to Bradley Cooper was like, hello? Like, Bradley Cooper's in my face. What's going on here?
I think I'd be more worried, like, okay, can they pick me up? Can they carry me? Can they just like...
If it's like a mouth-to-mouth type thing, then it's a different story. You know?
Who would you pick?
What I pick?
I already know. I think I have an idea.
I don't want to say it because it's like I could
Say
meet
it.
them.
Oh my
Oh
god.
God.
Okay,
then,
say it.
I'll just say, oh, you know who?
Who?
Her name is, what's her name?
Oh, the fact that you're trying to think her name, I don't think it's not the person I thought. Yeah.
It's esta, she played Nami in One Piece.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. She's kind of an upcoming.
Oh, star.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
She's
upcoming.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, so the other question was, who would you not want to save you? Like if you, if,
I didn't
like,
answer that one.
Like if somebody, like, oh, if you needed help, say you broke your leg or something, right?
Danny DeVito.
There you go. Yeah, you wouldn't like that. That's
2 weeks.
Yeah,
He's
that's
too
like why would you
small.
want?
I'm bigger
Why
than
would you
him.
want him to? But
Matilda's dad.
Oh. Okay.
You know, everybody has like their reasons, right? I don't know who I wouldn't want to save me.
But who did you say for you?
For me, no, I was like Christian Bale because I'm a hardcore Batman fan, y'all. Like, I love Christian Bale. Like, and my husband knows it too. So, like, I love Christian Bale, and so he
he's
would be
cool.
like, I would be like, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like for me.
you it'd be it's the
Oh my god. The L.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like I don't have a type, you know, but somehow like I just think he's like the guy that I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
I
Just
like
because of
you.
Gatsby.
Yeah.
Really?
Gatsby's
That
so
you know, I
mean.
would never think that about you because Leonardo DiCaprio was a very 90s actor, you know, back in the 90s. So
Yeah.
like he was.
But you know, that's the thing though. Like I'm into like old.
Yeah, well, you did say
old
that.
School
Yeah,
stuff.
you
You
did
know,
say that.
like
I just feel more active now though for me.
yeah, but I feel like it's just if I see him in any movie, I'm just like, wow, amazing.
Okay,
job.
So have you seen him in Wolf on Wall Street? Wolf on Wall
That's
Street?
one of my favorite movies.
That movie is crazy. That movie is crazy.
Yeah,
It is
we
crazy.
do we do references.
Yeah, that is a crazy.
Yeah,
movie.
no, I feel like for him, well, you know, our wedding was like a Roaring 20s wedding
Oh,
thing.
okay.
It was like, right? It was my favorite movie is The Great Gatsby. Like, I love that movie.
That's interesting.
And I even had like the headband,
Yeah.
like the Daisy one, like 'cause of the whole wedding,
The whole
right?
wedding.
My dress was like a back in the day,
1930s
dress or whatever, like a lot of beading. Like I'll show you a picture. And
It sounds like my dress too. My dress had a lot of beading on it. I didn't have like a where they bustle it or anything. I couldn't bustle my dress because of all the beading.
Mine was like it was a lot of beading, like, but it wasn't heavy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I really like that
Yeah.
because normally like beading is
Yes.
super heavy.
Yeah.
And I actually talked about an experience with Alondra. It's supposed to drop next week. When I tell her that I had a very long veil, and the veil was like it had beads all around it.
Oh,
At my
wow.
church, we got married through church, right? The church had carpet. So I told her that as I was walking down the aisle, I could feel the little beads get stuck to the carpet. And I'm just like trying to keep my head straight, you know, walking down the aisle. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, oh my God.
freaking out.
Yeah. But
That's a good wedding story for Alondra.
yeah, I told her and I'm like, and make sure that when you walk down the aisle, like that the flower girls are out of the way already.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, like for sure, he's I should have even said him like as
Yeah.
to rescue me, but I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
But so those are the types of things that I like to do, like just kind of ask like random things or questions, you know, that are going on trending. I call it the trending chisme, and try to, you know, really break the ice with the audience. And also I want them to chime in on the trending chisme. I always tell them like, hey, it's on my stories. Go on the polls, tell me what you think. And then like, we'll talk about it on the show. And it's just a way for me to connect with the audience, for them to know, oh, okay, at least we know what's gonna happen, and also for them to chime in on their opinions too. They have a lot of them have their opinions.
And we are back. So we were having technical difficulties, and we were talking about the segment, the breakdown, right?
Yeah.
So then you do your like the voting.
Yeah, I do the polls and stuff on the stories to bring in the audience, you know, because everybody loves the trending, like the chisme.
Well, they want to know.
Yeah,
right?
they want to know, and I try to keep it, like I said, light and funny, and not too like well, you know, the whole Jada Pinkett thing that happened recently, that was interesting. Or like the list of the women voting like where not to take me on a date, that was super interesting.
What did you think about that?
I was like, man, who are these women? Like, I want to know who these women are because, like...
Okay, so you would be okay with the Cheesecake Factory?
Yes, because I grew up when the Cheesecake Factory was the bomb.com, and apparently now it's not. So
yeah, because we've never really... He doesn't like cheesecake, so we've never really been there, but I've been there. Yeah. So when he kind of told me, I was just like, I mean... I'd be okay with
some
it.
of them I understand. Like Applebee's, y'all, I'm not a fan.
But then again, it depends... the age.
It depends on the age. Yeah,
I do think it's the now generation type thing because it's like you everything's just more expensive now. Everything's just more higher end.
And then the younger generation has like higher expectations.
So it's like even like we talk about it all the time, like with parties, like. Growing up, it was just like a cake, a few balloons,
a house party.
But now, no, like even for kids, you know.
Yeah, for kids.
Now you gotta have a backdrop. You gotta have like the balloons, like.
Well, listen, you have to in the sense of like because of the pressure, right? Society puts that pressure on us.
Yeah.
Your friends did it. Now you gotta.
So you know, for Milo this year. In July for his birthday, my sister-in-law, she does like backdrops and stuff like that. So for his birthday this year, we spent a bunch of money at in LA, right? Yeah. At Universal. Yeah. That's how we celebrated him. Yeah. But we decided to do something super last minute on, you know, the weekend that we got back. And it was like a 90s party, literally. Like we only had like a little, like a paper backdrop that I bought, like a little just random decoration. The regular happy birthday banner, you know, the one that has the letters, and then just a few balloons. Yeah. I told him, I'm like, I want to do it old school. Let's go back to, I'm like, he doesn't care, you know.
AKA cheap. For real, because it's like it's cool, but it's cool.
But in our case, we get the hookup because my sister-in-law does it, right? So then when she offered, I was like, no, it's okay.
Shout out Pop It.
Yeah, shout out Pop It. I was like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it, girl. Don't stress it. Like, we're just literally going to put like a few balloons up. And they flew away.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And his decoration was stuff that we bought at Universal. Like, expensive stuff that he got over there. Like a little popcorn, little Mario Kart or whatever. But it was cool, though. Like, and then his cake, it was not like fancy, you know, circle cake or whatever. It was just like an ice cream cake from, what is it?
Baskin Robbins.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny though, because we're recently talking about cakes with my youngest son. He has gotten more of the fancier cakes than my oldest did. And because of the time, right? Yeah. And so recently we had talked about some cakes and he's like, well, that one cake that you bought me, he's like, it looked cool, but it wasn't that great, you know? And I was like, oh, really? And I was like, oh, I felt bad. And so, like, but then every time I bought, like, a cake from, like, H-E-B or Kroger or whatever, he's like, oh, he loves it. Like,
man, cakes out of the box are, like, really good. Like,
well, because, honestly, and you know what? Milo, I feel like he's into, like, the baking process. Like, he loves to crack the eggs, and I let him do most of it. Yes. So, he's baked Roland's cakes, like,
just make me my cake.
Like the last 3 years. Yeah, out of the box, you know, and he's made one for like, he likes making the cake. So sometimes when his mom's like, can you buy the cake? I'm like, oh, Mila will make it. Like, and it's fun, you know, it's just simple.
But going back to that list, I just feel like it's like a generation thing.
It's a generation thing. It's also, I think also the age, right? Like, there was one of the things was like, don't take me to the club. And I was like, well, yeah, for me, like if I'm not single, but if I was 40 and single right now, I would be like, yeah, I don't want to go to no club. You know, that's
so like La Platica talked about the list too. And they were like, I think one of them was like, Chipotle, right? Yeah. So it's like, but like a kid, like somebody that's in high school, they'd probably take their first girlfriend to Chipotle because that's all the money they have, you know, like.
They actually also asked they went on the list for Texans players. They asked the Texans players, like, where do you take your girlfriend or first dates on? And so, you know what they said? They said Steak 48. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. 48.
And I was like, oh, okay. So that's like their, I guess,
their
like
spot.
But they got the money for it though.
They got the money. Yeah.
We you know, for his parents' anniversary, 1 year we took them there.
Oh, it was like 48.
Yeah. So then I planned this whole idea, and I'm just like, because his parents don't have daughters, it's 3 boys, right? So I've been with him for like 13 years already. So then for his parents' anniversary 1 year, I was like, man, we should send them off. Like, we'll drive them there, like a whole VIP experience. So we took them to the restaurant, and I talked to the girl, and I'm like, hey, like, whatever they want, charge it on this card. You know, we got it. So they didn't even, they had no clue. They thought, right, they showed up thinking they were going to pay this expensive ass restaurant that we were taking them to. And it was just a nice, but it was that restaurant.
Yeah, I totally forgot we did that.
Yeah.
Me and my husband been there one time. I think we went.
We've never been there.
We've been there. Ironically, we went during COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because we were like, it was like towards the end of COVID, and we're like, dude, we need to celebrate. Like, we need to because we were like,
go out.
We need to like celebrate because this just really sucked.
Yeah. Have you been to the one where what's the one that we went for your birthday?
Fogo de Chao.
Oh, have you been? Yeah. Man, we went there for his birthday. It was like $600.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I know. I was like, fuck.
He said that, and he didn't even have to pay because yo toda like, oh, I got it. I'm gonna pay for everybody.
Yeah.
And me and his dad, like, I got the tab, and I'm just like, oh my god, $600. But I was working in sales at the funeral home, so I was making money. You know, I was gonna pay for it, and his dad's like, no, like, I got it. And I'm like, no, like, I invited y'all to come out here, have this experience, because I had already been there with the company, right?
Yeah.
And I paid with the company card, so I thought it was nice. So I invited them for his birthday, because his family does like birthday dinners.
Yeah,
I really love that, So then for his birthday, I was like, let's go to this restaurant and experience this, It was $600.
Fogo de Chao is really good.
It is good.
My in-laws, they all have always spoiled me. Ever since I've been with my husband. Like I said, we've been together 20 years. So they took me out one time for a birthday dinner for me there. And I was like, man, this is nice. Like, because I didn't grow up going to like nice places like that.
Same, me neither. Yeah. Like, I feel like his parents spoil me too.
I went to steakhouses every weekend growing up.
Yeah, right, boy. You're at Aranda.
Hey, crazy story though. Me and you have something in common.
What is it?
I actually worked at a funeral home.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For like 3 months.
Oh, no. I worked there for a long
doing
time.
what, though?
Doing what?
I was selling funeral insurance.
The insurance?
Yeah, like the sales, though, part, I guess. Like the what is it? The packages.
The services.
The services, yeah.
Well, because you were licensed for it, right?
Mm-hmm,
okay.
yeah.
But that's like the big money part, right?
It could be, yeah.
I mean,
but the cemetery is the big money.
It's because one of our clips went viral where she's talking about like one of the biggest checks she's had. And on TikTok,
from the cemetery,
yeah, and people are just like
going off on me.
Oh, yeah, they're like, "Oh, you're making money off dead people or off people grieving and stuff." And it's like, and she's like, "I sold that check came from a family that nobody had died from. It was just like services,
they were
like
their
in
services together."
The mom had died.
No, you told me they didn't.
So the mom had died, and I helped them at that time of need,
Right.
And then they came back and they bought like $80,000 worth of stuff
because they were like, we got to prepare.
Yeah, prepare.
Yeah. So when I made that check, it was from somebody that hadn't died.
Then why'd you say that they did that? You didn't help yourself.
No,
they're gonna be like, and she did make money off somebody that died.
No, but it was more like I didn't make that money right away. It was more the experience that I provided to them, being there for them.
And they came back.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, I'm what is it?
Advantage.
What is it? Mortician, or what is it?
Like a funeral director.
I don't know, like
the people that take care of,
or the people that even do the embalming and all that.
Funeral directors.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they were like, well, I do this, and they don't make that much.
They
and
don't
I do,
make that
yeah,
much.
but it's like sales obviously outweighs.
Yeah, that's why
like
funeral
everything.
directors don't get along with the sales team. But I would get along with the funeral directors because it's just, as a salesperson, when you have that job, you don't want to be. I know I don't want to say it like this, but car salesmen just have that title.
No, it's the same thing.
Persona.
Like in construction, it's the same thing. So it's like I worked labor my whole life, you know what I mean? So it's like the people doing the labor are making, even if it's like, oh, it's $30 an hour, you know, like, or whatever, like, you're still making less than the general contractor, because they're the ones hiring the people, they're the ones getting the big money, and you're getting that.
So as the sales,
and they're not doing the labor,
so they're as a salesperson, like the funeral directors, they would refer cases to me because they're like, well, we know you're not gonna take advantage, because I would be like, well, this is your option and this is your option, whatever you choose is cool, you know. Like,
how long did you work there?
I worked there. I started actually. I was one of the
on and off, no?
Yeah, I was one of their first like young sales reps.
Okay.
At first, I had like people come up to me like when I would like help them. They'd be like, "Whoa, you're young. You don't know." Like stuff like that. Like I would get like a lot of like pushback. And I remember I had a manager, like she told, my tia got me in there, and she's Hispanic. Her English, we actually had them. I don't know if you saw her episode. It's Sonia and Yahaira.
Okay.
And her she has an accent, right? So she got me in to work with her, and she trained me. But she was like, it's one of those things where it's like she took me in and she just expected so much of me, you know. So I had to like meet that standard, right? So we became the like that duo. So we would work together and stuff like that. I was there. I don't know, like. I started when I was like 18, 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started there when I was young, like maybe 19. So basically, when I started there at 19, the first year that I was there, I made $50K.
Oh, wow.
So I made good money. So with that, I paid off my car.
Yeah.
Because I had my tia in my ear telling me, you got to pay off your stuff. Don't have, you know.
Yeah, I worked there for 3 months and then it said deuces.
What location were you at?
I was... I won't say the first location I was at because I was at 2 locations. Okay. But the last location I was at was, which was the location that it was great. I had a great experience. My manager was cool. Was the Pasadena location here?
Is it Dignity Memorial?
Yeah, Dignity Memorial.
Oh, I worked for Dignity Memorial too, but I worked for the Hispana market. So you're probably with Major Market.
Yeah. And so, so I thought that's what I wanted. Well, I don't think I realized what the job was until like I got into it, and then I was like, oh no, this is not what I want to do.
Oh, same.
I was like, oh no, because they were like you could sell also cemetery plots and stuff like that, and I was like, no, don't want to do that. No, it was just like I was also.
So you were like a pre-planning advisor?
Yes, kinda? And I did it. I foolishly did it like only a year after my dad had passed. So I was,
and that's when they get you, kinda.
And I was like already like, I was already kind of like still dealing with the grief, but then I started having like panic attacks there, and I was like, oh no, I gotta get out of this place.
No, so see, for me it was more. I did go in with the I'm gonna make money because that's what my tia picture. Like she made this picture like you're young, you can do this, you'll make money, you know. And I'm like okay, but then when I got in, I was just like oh wow, like. I'm actually helping people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I used to do life insurance, house insurance. I used to sell insurance, you know. I used to work at State Farm.
Yeah.
And then she kind of like talked me out of working at State Farm to go in there. And that's when I got into that business. And I actually enjoyed it. And like he can tell you, I've had dreams about working there, right? Because
every job.
Yeah, well, every job, but the funeral
what's the next one? What's the premonition?
The funeral home, I've had like I had a passion to help the people that I helped. Yeah. I built some great connections, like
for sure.
I still have numbers of family members that I helped. You know, just because you know when I lost my grandparents, like I was young, so I was never a part of it, but. You never want to take advantage of somebody that's like grieving, you know. So I felt like I could, like I was like one of those things that everything happens for a reason. Like I was placed in that moment to help that specific family, you know, like that. So I feel like I did enjoy the job until it just became tiring because I was one of the top producers. So it was hard to hit quota after quota. Like, it just resets the first of the month. It resets and it resets and it resets. And I'm just like... I'm out of here. So that's when I started working. I got into the attorney world, right? And that's a whole other story.
Oh, that's cool that me and you have that in common. Because like, there's a lot of things that have happened through my journey that have gotten me to this point. And so but at the end of the day, like, I know I'm in the right space. I've never felt like I want to quit. Like, this is too much. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. Even right now when I mean, I'm gonna be real honest, y'all. Like, it's rough out here. Like, it is rough out here with, you know, like we had mentioned, like, you don't make money right away. Trying to get more sponsors. Shout out to Joanna Lopez, Texas Premium Financial Services, who is my one and only sponsor. She is a godsend to me, like literally a godsend, because of the fact that, one, she believed in me. Two, she believes in my mission of Let's Vamonos, which is creating a community, building, you know, it's been really hard. And I don't know about y'all, but it's been really hard to even consider Let's Vamonos a business. I've really had to learn that this is a business too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I feel like for us, it's like we didn't think of it as a business at the beginning. And then it just, you're just like, okay, well, all of this is coming. So now we have to treat it. Because so when you asked me the stuff about the LLC, and I'm like, oh, like, you know, we're working on it and stuff like that. Because at first it was hard, right? Like, it was to see, we knew it was going to grow, just not the way it's growing.
It started off like, just like, let's do something cool, you know, something dope.
Let's, you know, network and meet more people, you know.
And one of the things I didn't share also was the reason why I ended up pushing forward after the Thunder Rosa episode or the interview was because I had nothing. I didn't have a platform. She didn't ask me, do you have 50,000 followers? Like, what's your resume? What's your quota or whatever? She didn't care. All she cared about was that she saw a Latina doing something different, and she wanted to share her story. And she wanted to make sure that story was going to be shared to whoever needed to hear it. Maybe it was my audience. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I was the person that needed to hear it. And so I tell people that interview that interview not only, lifted me up in Let's Vamonos, but afterwards, it was like, hey, let's start giving opportunities to other people. She gave me an opportunity, so I have to give an opportunity, and I have to pay it forward. Yeah. And I have been doing a lot of that. Like, there's a lot of people that don't see the behind the scenes stuff of people I connect people with, people I recommend, people I say, hey, you should go work with these people. I don't talk about that stuff, right? That's behind the scenes stuff. Or just getting people on my show, like, hey, you should tell your story. Like, you got a badass story. Like, you should come on the pink couch to tell your story. Mm-hmm. Some people don't even think that they have a story worth telling. And so at the end of the day for Let's Vamonos, like, it's about paying it forward to the community. The legacy that my family has also built really quickly, just the legacy that my mom and dad were advocates for their community. I watched them advocate for the community, the Latino community. I watched them speak out when police brutality was happening in Baytown. I watched them speak out when they were talking about Latina women being prostitutes in Baytown, like as a culture, not as like they were prostitutes, like as a culture, Latina women. And so I've seen my mom and dad do some really, really powerful things over the last, you know, I'm 41 now, but since I was about 9 and 10 when all of this kind of really started for me. And so, like, yes, it's in my blood. Advocacy is in my blood. Community is in my blood. Like, it didn't just come up, like you said, like, oh, I want to make a business out of this. It's like building a community has always been a part of my life. I just never knew it. Mm-hmm. I never knew it because I just thought, oh, my parents have this organization. So some people know this, some people don't, but my mom created the first Mexican-American women's organization in Baytown in 1979. Unheard of. Created scholarships for Latina women to go to school. Like, that's where I come from. So, like, when I had to learn, like, this is where my roots are at. This is where I come from. And my legacy has to continue because my dad's gone now. And my mom's still here. Yeah. But my legacy their legacy that they've taught me has to continue. And so at the end of the day, like, yeah, the shows are all fun and stuff. And it's all cool. But
you're good.
But at the same time, I know that when I leave this world, I'm leaving whatever mark that is. And I know that I have a lot more to give. I have a lot more to share, and I have a lot more to just help. And so that for me is my passion. It's my passion to be able to do so. And I'm so thankful to have my mom and dad to show me that, because I'm going to tell you, my parents, you know, when they were 18, 19 years old, they didn't think about any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. They were hippies. They were partiers. It wasn't until I came around, until they had me at a later age, they had me at 35, that they really started to like be involved in the community. They started to see things. You know, my parents came from segregation. They came from a point in time where like they were repressed. You know, they couldn't go to certain restaurants. They couldn't cross the railroad tracks. They couldn't go to certain places to eat or, you know, drink or whatever. And so I learned all of those things. My parents went to a segregated school where it was just Mexicans and you couldn't speak Spanish and you were beaten if you spoke Spanish. And so all of that has turned me into who I am. I've learned that learning the how important it is for Latinos to stay together, one, to protect each other, to build each other up, and to be able to understand that we all have our journeys, we all have our legacies, and that we have to stay focused. Because the minute we get distracted by people trying to tear us apart or put us down or whatever, then it becomes oh, well, they think they're better, or they think they're this or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like, people don't know, I like literally have watched advocacy happen in real life with my parents. Like, some people might see it on the streets, right? I actually lived it. Like, I lived my mom and dad, like, literally having families come to my parents' house or them go to other parents' house saying, my son is getting in trouble at school. How can you help me? And my mom and dad are just like regular folks. They're not lawyers. They're not doctors. Yeah. They're not teachers. They're just regular people. We need help. How can you help us? And that's how it all starts too, right? Like, just asking for help. And so I'm very passionate about that. I'm very passionate about that part of my journey. And I know at the end of the day, like, even though it might seem small right now for me, like, it's a humble beginnings, like you said, I know my impact is a lot greater than what it's going to be in like the next 5 to 10 years because of what I have to share with the community. Yeah. And also having the ability to also use my voice. There's some people out there that are scared to use their voice. They don't know how to use their voice, or they think their voice doesn't matter, or they think it's like not important. And I'm going to tell you right now, everybody's voice is important. Somebody needs to hear your voice, my voice. We all are connecting with somebody that is going to be able to relate to us somehow, right? We all have our audience. And so there's always enough for everybody too.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm very inspired. Y'all have inspired me. I think I had mentioned to y'all when I went to y'all's anniversary, I was like, I don't celebrate enough with what I do. I don't celebrate my blessings or my my things that I have accomplished, my accomplishments over the last 4 years. Yeah. And I said, and I realized I need to. Yep. And y'all inspired me. I told you, I was like, I need to do this for myself. Why am I not doing this? Why have I not like celebrated my anniversary? Yeah. Like,
at what point would you do something?
Yeah.
And our stuff was like planned in like a month and a half.
And that's okay. Right? The fact that y'all thought about it though, like, it just was like, man, I was like, I was kind of like, when am I gonna, I've never been that person, like, it has to be perfect. It's like, oh, I gotta like celebrate a big win. I was like, no, I need to be celebrating the wins that I already have accomplished because,
yeah, for sure.
Because nobody knows until you do it. Like,
until you'd say it, like, oh, guys, by the way, you know.
Yeah.
That's where imposter syndrome could like kick in too. Like, or you're like, why am I even doing this shit? Like, nobody's gonna come.
I know,
like,
he had that. Like,
I guess this for y'all's event.
Yeah.
And
really?
And that's why I felt like it was so new to me to hear the whole imposter syndrome, because maybe I don't know if I've dealt with it or even went through it or what, right? Because I don't know, when he tells me, I'm just like, no, like, you know, this is cool. Like, we're about to, you know, reach 100 episodes, whatever. And then it just happened.
Yeah.
You know, we got sponsorships and all this stuff happened just to celebrate what we've accomplished, you know?
Yeah. So shout out, I will have my anniversary in January.
In January.
Yeah, 2024. Okay. I will have an anniversary. It'll be my 4-year anniversary of Lets Vamonos. And I'm going to really try to make it super, like, exclusive, because I want people to feel super special to be able to be a part of it. Yeah. Because for me, it is super special. And, of course, all my guests will be invited. So if you've been on my show, you'll be invited. And if you haven't been on my show, you'll still be invited, right?
Yeah.
But the people that support me, and then just kind of go from there. But yeah, like, I really admire y'all for doing what y'all do. Because y'all are younger than me, and y'all are putting yourselves out there. And it's 10 years ago, I would have never been able to do my own show or a podcast or anything like that 10 years ago. But when I see people younger than me doing it, I'm like, that's badass. Because, like, we need more of our community to do those things. We need our voice out there. We need our stories told, right? Yeah. We need all of that. And it's just super important. And I might sound like a broken record, but at the same time, like, there's just not enough of us being able to share those things, to be able to be a creative community as well, to show people that Latinos really have a big representation in the media world, in the podcast world, in the creativity world. Like, we are out there, and we are just, honestly, we're just getting started, because we've been.
And you say that too, right?
Well, like, honestly, like, to me, I just feel like there's no like, I feel like a lot of Latinos are doing stuff.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah, like, I've never felt like like there's not enough people doing things. I always seen
but
it,
then
like,
I also feel like,
I don't know if it's because I'm just really tapped in with, like, the media world.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of Latinos doing stuff.
Yeah, because you'll tell me, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know, like, you know.
Yeah.
No, I see a lot, and I'm just like, I never see, like, oh, like, we're a minority, or we're, like, you know, like, we're not too many people are doing stuff that, because literally, like, all the vintage people that I know, they're all Hispanic.
That's true.
And I'm like,
that's true.
That's a lot of, like, but there are, like, black, like, vintage people, white people, whatever, but the people we've had on, the stores that I know of, they're all Hispanic.
Yeah.
Well, like, our podcast is big on, like,
but I don't. It doesn't set that limit though. I don't think we're like only Latinos are allowed. You know, it's just like anybody can come, but it's just mostly Hispanics, and they're in everything.
And that's how my show is too. I always say it's not Latino only. It just happens to be a Latino run show, right? Like, that's just the way it goes. You don't have to be Latino to be on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've never had I've had other walks of life on the show as well. Growing up though, you know, I never had somebody to look up to say, oh yeah, I want to do that, you know, like, to see a Latina or a Latino do something that I was interested in doing that was similar to this. I mean, still to
for me, growing up, it was like Don Francisco, like Laura and Cristina.
Right.
That's the talk shows I remember.
Right. They're all in Spanish.
And they're in Spanish.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But it wasn't like, that was all like, if you could get on there, you were lucky because you were a celebrity.
Yeah.
It was not like a supporting, like, Latinos overall.
You know, I do have a question, and it's like, because earlier we talked off camera about, like, if you know Spanish and stuff, right? Yeah. And you say you know a little bit, right?
Yeah, un poquito así.
Yeah. So that's it. So I know I it's not like my view of it is like people that like want to represent Latinos and stuff like that, and I guess I see the language as like a big part of it, right?
Right.
So you having Let's Vamonos and stuff, do you feel the need to want to learn a little more Spanish, or or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I've always embraced my culture. Actually, ironically, when I was like 4 and 5 years old, I spoke nothing but Spanish. I had a live-in nanny that spoke nothing but Spanish, and I spoke nothing but Spanish.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if your parents knew Spanish.
Yes. Yes.
Because you know how.
Well, she has the Morning with Madres now, right?
Yeah.
But like, what are we like? You know how there's the first generation.
We're first generations.
Yeah.
Which means like first generation here.
Yeah, and you're not a first
No,
generation.
I'm third.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like my grandpa. I think he was second generation.
Yeah. So then like stuff like that makes sense where it's like my brother. So Rai is what?
He's
third, or he's still first, or what? How does that work?
Oh, I guess
just because he's the third brother, like
would he be still considered the first generation?
No, he would be considered third because you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest, and then it's my second brother, and then the youngest one knows the least Spanish.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the younger one knows the least.
So, he would be considered third generation. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I would think that Milo would be considered second generation, and then his kids
because
would be
he's our kid of the first generation. Mm-hmm. So what? He's not fourth, right? He's second. Or how does that work?
Oh, maybe you're right then. Maybe he's the first.
Is it like it's by like
by age? Oh, so for instance, like me and my brother and my sister, we're all considered third generation. So yes, he would be.
I would feel like you and your brothers are all first, and then
but just my brother.
Milo would be considered second generation because we were born here, so then he's born after us here.
Yeah. So the question is about as far as the language. I love the Spanish language. I wish I knew more of it. I want to know more of it. I do try to actively participate in things that are, in some things that are in Spanish. When I was a kid, I used to listen to nothing but Tejano music. I also grew up though Tex-Mex too. Yeah. So that's different than like, certain other genres, right? When you grow up first generation, I grew up Tex-Mex. So, I grew up with Selena and Emilio Navarro and Bobby Pulido and that type of music, which is country, right? Country, somewhat not country, but Spanish.
Yeah.
And so it was always a part of my life. Spanish was always in my life, whether it was music. My parents spoke it, but they didn't speak it to us.
But then again, your parents are considered second generation, right?
Yes and no.
Because you're third, no?
Yes and no. So this is why I kind of struggle sometimes with the labels that us as Latinos put on ourselves. So both of my grandmothers were born in Texas.
Okay.
My mother was born in San Luis Potosí.
Okay, so they went to Mexico and then came.
So on my mom's side, her.
So technically, you're considered like first generation.
But then it's just like if you were just born over there, or did like they live over there? And
no, so like they lived in. So like my mom's side of the family came to Texas, and my grandmother was born. Mm-hmm. They then moved back to Mexico or San Luis, and then my mom was born in San Luis. And then because she was an American citizen, she was able to immigrate here legally and have her family come, her children come as well without any issues. And so my mom didn't have a citizenship until she was like in her 20s. So she wasn't technically a citizen of the United States. But my grandmothers on both sides of my family, my dad's side and my mom's side, were both born in Texas. So when you start talking about generations and labels, it gets a little complicated because, like I said, everybody's journey is different, right? Mm-hmm. And so I understand the pride of being a first generation and what that means and how important that is. But at the same time, I tell people, us Latinos have been here for a long time. Like, we've been immigrating to Texas for a long time. We've been living in Texas for a long time. It hasn't been something that... it just recently has been an issue, just recently. And at the time, my family was going back and forth to Mexico and here, it wasn't it was nothing. Now, eventually they stayed. They eventually stayed here in Texas, and that's how our family grew. Yeah. But I love my culture. I love being Mexican American. I love being a part of sharing that as well. And I never shy down. Like, if somebody wants to try to make me feel bad because I don't know enough Spanish or whatever, it's like, well, you don't know get to know me first. Get to know me first. Get to know my family. Has your family gone and spoke to families that spoke only Spanish, and then my English speaking bilingual parents were able to advocate for these Spanish speaking people. Has your family done that?
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it just like you said, it doesn't even matter, you know. But obviously, it's not gonna be like where you're like, oh my God, I speak 100% Spanish, and you really don't. Then that's different, you know.
Yeah, that's why I ask. It's like it's not like I'm asking just to like test you or whatever. It's like it's
how
more
do you
of a
say?
it's more of a because that's I always ask the guests like I'm like, do you speak Spanish? Because
I know we do always ask the guests.
I always throw Spanish shit in there. Like,
no, I love that.
You know,
I mean,
I naturally like I just want to. You know,
express. That's how you express yourself, right? Yeah, and I think you should. I think it's. I think we should, even if it's around non-Latinos, even so, because that's just who we are.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the things I love about Let's Vamonos is that it is a Spanglish term. I had mentioned earlier that was something behind the scenes. That's something my dad used to say all the time, but actually, when I started saying it, I realized, other people don't say Let's Vamonos. That's not like something that they would say in their bilingual or Spanglish home.
The way I say it is without the V. Yeah.
Without the V.
Vamonos.
Yeah.
Like vámonos. Like, yes. You know?
Yeah. And so that's the reason why I wanted to incorporate that, because that's just who I am, right? Like, I identify as culturally my Mexican culture, but I've been a very, lived in the American culture. And a lot of me and my mom have had a lot of conversations about also the language. So my mom worked in the corporate world in Houston, and my mom was bilingual. And I always asked her, I said, did they ever care if you spoke Spanish or like that you were bilingual? She's like, they didn't care. It was like, do you speak English and can you do the job? That's all they cared about.
And now it's like a thing. Like if you're bilingual, you get paid more.
Yeah. So like, and my mom worked for like big corporations, working as secretaries, and she worked for Exxon, and she worked in admin and stuff like that. So that was never even a question. Like nobody really cared. Yeah. It wasn't considered an asset at the time. It wasn't until my generation growing up when I started kind of going into the working force and realized, oh man, if I spoke Spanish, man, I would be able to get this job, or I'd be able to get that job. And or sometimes even if you speak Spanish, they don't even pay you more sometimes, you know. They're just like, oh, do you? And then they're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And so but I never shy away, and I'm open to also letting people know, like, yeah, I know some words, and yes, if you speak to me in Spanish, I'll most likely probably respond in English. And if you're speaking about me in Spanish, I probably know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know, I always tell people, why would I never want to make anybody that doesn't speak good English feel bad. So why would you want to make me feel bad about not speaking good Spanish?
Yeah, for sure.
And so and if anything, I would just want to just let people know that I don't care if you speak only Spanish or only English, or you don't speak no Spanish or whatever. If you're Latino, like, I got your back. In the sense of like, I'm supporting you, like just in general. If you're a good person, I'm going to support you, right? I'm going to be a part of that. And I don't want people to feel like, oh, well, she's that kind of Latina, right? Like she's only supporting like these types of Latinas. No, like get to know me and you'll really know what kind of person I am and who I really support and why I support them. Yeah. And I just,
at the end of the day, you also have to just build that relationship too,
you got to build the relationship. And I'm also not I'm not the person like I want to be friends with everybody either. I really don't. Yeah. I don't. Like there's some people that want to be accepted and be friends with everybody. And at the end of the day, you can't. You just really can't. You have to know your boundaries. You have to know your limits, and you have to know what's also your purpose. What's your purpose in life to be able to build those relationships? Because we've all been in situations where we built relationships with people and they've either stabbed us in the back or, whatever the case may be. We've all been in that situation. So I got to learn from my experiences, from my mistakes, from you know, being around, and I've learned a lot over these last 4 years being in the community that I am in, because it is very tight. And then it's also like a lot of like, man, you don't know who knows who, right? Yeah. Like, so you like, for instance, when I started working with Faith, I didn't know who she knew, right? And so I was like, oh man, she knows this person and this people. And then she started to realize who I knew too. Oh, you know, these people and this. Yeah. So like, you have to be really careful, like what you're surrounding yourself around, and then also what you're putting out there, because because you don't know, like, you don't want to burn that bridge. You don't want to piss off anybody, and you want to be respectful of everybody's work ethic and journey and goals, because at the end of the day, everybody's working for their purpose, whatever that is, whether it's to get more money or to, you know, build a life for themselves, to be able to share their experiences. You know, everybody's got their purpose. So
no, yeah, I definitely agree, because that's what happened to me too. I mean, honestly, like, it's just one of those things, just like whenever I met like Jesse and Lucia, I was like, it's crazy, because we had gone to hip hop before we even met them, you know. And then I used to go to like the breakdance scene. Like, I was like a part of that world when I was young, but I didn't even know who anybody was. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's crazy to be like, years later, like now I'm connected with Jesse and Lucia, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I know so-and-so, and so-and-so is so-and-so's godparent, and you know, like the connections, you know, it just is funny, because you get to talking, and then you're like, oh, you know so-and-so, and you're like, oh, me too, you know. So it's just
go ahead. Sorry. So crazy story, I actually went to a venue today, and I told the guy, I met the owner of this venue, and I said, oh, this place reminds me of my wedding. It's so beautiful, like chandeliers everywhere. And he said, what is the place called? And I said, I don't remember. I was like, it was off of Westheimer. He's like, is it the Chateau Cristal? And I said, yeah. He goes, I actually used to own that place. And I was like, so like things like that, like, yeah, like it's like, dang, like this is creepy here. Like,
imagine if you would have been like saying something bad.
Yeah. Or like if I had a bad experience at my wedding. Luckily I had a great experience at the venue, but yeah, you just never know. Houston's super big, but it's also really small.
It's a small world.
It's a small world. Yep.
Yeah. I would just be honest. Like, if like you had a bad experience, you had a bad experience.
No, yeah. But it's just one of those things where, imagine if she would have shared, like, and then he would have been like, oh, that was my venue, and be like, yeah, it was crazy how I experienced that. Like, you could easily just,
you could just switch it up.
Because it never has to be bad, you know? It's just your actual experience, you know?
But so before we end the podcast, like, what do you have coming up, or is there anything that you can expect?
Mind you, this is gonna drop in December.
Yeah. So currently right now don't have anything major coming up. I am going to be launching my launching my website. My website should be up by the time this podcast comes out.
That's perfect. Yeah, we'll have it linked
in December,
and everything.
Yeah, make sure you send us.
Yeah, so we'll have that going. I've been building it with a wonderful team that I have that's helping me, which is like the first time I've really like invested in my business in that way, because like before I just like did like DIY website, you know, like do it yourself, which I'm still kind of doing that, because like one of the things I think me and you have common, like we do graphics and aesthetics and know how to do that kind of stuff. I do all my graphics and all of those things, and so I've been building the website, but also getting help as well. So that's been helpful. And then other than that, just...
what about in January?
In January, hopefully I'll be celebrating the 4-year anniversary. And then also working on... my goal for January and February is to book for the rest of the year.
Oh, that dang, early that's on?
Crazy.
Yes, because... I have been planting seeds this whole, like, probably last 6 months of, like, telling people I want you on my podcast, or I want you on my show, or
I know Alondra says she's waiting for him.
I know. She's one of them. She's one of them. And so I know I've asked over a dozen people already. So the goal is to just kind of get those people lined up and then start asking more.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and God willing, if everything goes really good, to start doing live streams. The goal is to do a live stream more than once a week.
Oh wow!
So
that's really good.
We're gonna start. Hopefully, the goal is to go live 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say like 2 times, but 2 to 3 is like
2 to 3 times a week. Because I already go live with Mornings with Madre,
and then so technically you're already doing twice.
I'm already doing twice.
So now you want to add one more.
Add one more.
Okay, it's not
that's gonna be a surprise because I do have something in the works for that, and
that's exciting.
I'm hoping it's gonna be a little bit of a different segment format as well. So I got a lot of things kind of like in the pipeline, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But
so make sure y'all follow her.
Yes, please.
You know, we're gonna put her information in the description, right?
Yeah. Yes. Everything's gonna be in there, guys. So again, Desiree, we appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much.
It was a really long one. It was a good one.
Yeah,
you know, hopefully a lot of people. Hopefully a lot of people get something out of it. Other than that, guys, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, TikTok, and all that. Other than that, you know,
thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. And I remember the actress name Emily Rudd. If you ever want to give me mouth to mouth because I have like an accident or whatever, then
my gosh, he had to put it in there.
Okay,
but that's it. Much love.
Bye, guys. Peace.